A dog's rainy season adventure in the Philippines. Starring Summer, the small black Shih Tzu. The rainy season had finally arrived in the Philippines. Dark clouds rolled slowly across the sky, while cool winds danced through the coconut trees. Tiny raindrops tapped gently against windows, rooftops, and leaves across the countryside. Inside a cozy little house near the edge of a small town lived Summer, a tiny black Shih Tzu with fluffy fur, bright round eyes, and endless curiosity. Summer loved sunny days. She loved chasing butterflies, rolling on warm grass, and napping beneath the mango tree in the backyard. But today was different. The sky looked gray, the streets were wet, and thunder rumbled softly in the distance. Summer peeked through the window nervously. She had never truly experienced the rainy season before. As lightning flashed far away, Summer slowly backed away from the window and hid beside the sofa. Her tiny paws trembled. But little did she know, this rainy season was about to become the greatest adventure of her life. Chapter 1: The First Big Rain. That afternoon, the rain suddenly became stronger. Heavy drops poured from the sky, splashing across roads, rooftops, and puddles. The sound filled the entire neighborhood. Summer carefully stepped toward the open door and sniffed the cool air. Everything smelled fresh. Wheatgrass, mud, flowers, rainwater. The whole world felt different. At first, Summer stayed under the roof, watching carefully. Then, a single raindrop landed on her nose. She blinked. Another landed on her ear. Soon tiny droplets covered her fluffy fur. Instead of getting scared, Summer tilted her head curiously. Slowly, she stepped outside. Squish! Her tiny paws touched the wet ground. The cool puddles felt strange but exciting. She walked carefully at first, then faster, then suddenly, splash! Summer jumped into a puddle. Water sprayed everywhere. The children nearby burst into laughter. Summer froze for a moment. Then she wagged her tail excitedly. Again, splash. Again, splash. Soon the tiny black Shih Tzu was running through puddles like a happy little storm cloud. Rain dripped from her fur while she zoomed around the yard. The children chased after her while laughing loudly beneath the rain. For the very first time, Summer discovered that rainy days could be magical. Chapter 2: The Flooded Street Adventure. The next morning, the rain still hadn't stopped. Outside, small streams of water flowed beside the streets. The neighborhood looked completely different. Summer sat by the window watching umbrellas move through the rain like colorful floating mushrooms. Suddenly, she noticed something. Near the gate, a tiny cardboard box sat beside the flooded street. The rain soaked it completely. Inside the box came a soft sound. Meow. Summer immediately stood up. Her ears perked. Another weak meow echoed through the rain. Without hesitation, Summer barked loudly. Her family quickly opened the gate. Inside the wet box was a tiny orange kitten shivering from the cold. The poor kitten looked frightened and weak. Summer carefully approached. Instead of barking, she gently sniffed the kitten's tiny face. The kitten blinked slowly, then curled beside Summer's fluffy paws. Summer's family quickly carried the kitten inside. They wrapped it in a towel and prepared warm milk. Summer refused to leave the kitten alone. She stayed beside it the entire afternoon. Every time thunder shook the sky, the kitten trembled. So Summer quietly rested beside her, sharing warmth and comfort. By evening, the kitten finally felt safe. The family decided to name her Mango. From that rainy day forward, Summer had gained a tiny new friend. Chapter 3: Journey Through the Rice Fields. A few days later, the rain finally became lighter. Gray clouds still covered the sky, but the air felt cool and peaceful. Summer's family decided to visit Lola Rose's farm in the province. Summer became excited the moment the car started moving. She pressed her face against the window while raindrops slid down the glass. As they traveled farther from the city, the scenery slowly changed. Tall buildings disappeared. White-green rice fields stretched endlessly beneath the cloudy sky. Carabaos rested beside muddy ponds. Banana trees swayed gently in the rainy breeze. Everything looked calm and beautiful. When they finally arrived at the farm, Summer jumped out of the car immediately. The soft, muddy ground squished beneath her paws. Fresh rainwater sparkled across the grass. The farm smelled alive. Summer happily explored every corner. She chased dragonflies. She barked at ducks. She sniffed giant banana leaves covered in raindrops. Then suddenly, boom! A loud thunderclap echoed across the field. Summer froze. Nearby, a giant carabao slowly lifted its head. It was Bruno, the farm's gentle giant. Summer remembered feeling nervous around him before. But this time, Bruno calmly walked beside her through the muddy field. The huge carabao didn't seem afraid of the storm at all. Slowly, Summer relaxed. Together, the tiny black Shih Tzu and the giant carabao walked quietly through the rainy countryside. Chapter 4: The Bamboo Bridge. That afternoon, Lola Rosa asked the children to help gather vegetables from the other side of the river. To get there, they needed to cross an old bamboo bridge. Rainwater rushed beneath the bridge while the river moved quickly from the storm. Summer stared nervously at the shaking bamboo. It creaked softly with every step. The children crossed carefully, but Summer stopped at the edge. Her tiny legs trembled. The bridge looked scary. Below her, muddy river water flowed rapidly. The wind blew stronger. Summer whimpered softly. Then one of the children knelt beside her. "You can do it, Summer." Summer looked ahead. One tiny step. Creak. Another tiny step. Creak. Slowly, carefully, Summer crossed the bridge. Halfway through, the wind suddenly blew hard. The bridge shook. Summer almost slipped. But Bruno, the carabao, stood nearby beneath the bridge, calmly watching. Seeing Bruno somehow gave her courage. With determination, Summer continued walking, step by step. Finally, she reached the other side. Everyone cheered proudly. Summer wagged her tail happily. For such a tiny dog, it was a very big victory. Chapter 5: Lost in the Storm. That evening, dark clouds returned once again. Heavy rain poured across the farm. Wind howled through the trees while lightning flashed across the sky. Summer and Mango stayed safely inside the farmhouse. But during the storm, the door accidentally blew open. Mango became frightened and ran outside into the rain. Meow. Summer immediately rushed after her. Rain soaked her fur instantly. The strong wind made it difficult to see. Mud covered the pathways. Summer searched everywhere. Near the chicken coop, beside the banana trees, under the wooden cart. But Mango was nowhere. Thunder boomed loudly. Summer's heart pounded. Then faintly through the storm. Meow. Summer followed the sound toward the flooded fields. There, trapped beside a small ditch, was tiny Mango. The poor kitten trembled with fear. Water continued rising around her. Without hesitation, Summer carefully stepped into the muddy water. The current pushed against her tiny body. But she kept moving forward. Slowly, she reached Mango. Summer gently nudged the kitten upward with her nose. Mango climbed onto Summer's back. Step by step, Summer carried her tiny friend back toward the farmhouse. Rain poured heavily. Wind roared. Mud splashed everywhere. But Summer never gave up. Finally, the family spotted them through the rain. They rushed outside and carried both animals safely indoors. Everyone hugged Summer tightly. The tiny black Shih Tzu had become a true little hero. Chapter 6: The Rainy Season Festival. A week later, the storms finally calmed. The skies remained cloudy, but sunlight slowly returned between the drifting rain clouds. The nearby town prepared for its rainy season festival. Colorful lanterns decorated the streets. Music played from small stores and food stalls. The smell of grilled corn, rice cakes, and hot chocolate filled the air. Summer wore a tiny yellow raincoat while Mango rode comfortably inside a small basket. People smiled the moment they saw them. Children pointed excitedly. Look, the tiny black dog. Summer proudly walked through the festival beside her family. There were games, dancing, parades, and glowing lanterns shining beautifully against the evening rain. Then suddenly, the festival announcer stepped onto the stage. "We would also like to honor a very brave little dog," he said. Summer tilted her head. The dog who rescued a kitten during last week's storm. The crowd clapped loudly. Summer looked around in confusion. Then the children gently guided her toward the stage. Everyone cheered as the tiny black sheep. Sue stood beneath the glowing lantern lights. She received a small ribbon that read, "Rainy Season Hero." Summer wagged her tail proudly while Mango rubbed against her tiny paws. Even Bruno, the carabao, seemed proud back at the farm.
Let's hear it for our hero.
Chapter 7. A Peaceful Rainy Night. Late that night, gentle rain once again tapped softly against the farmhouse roof. But this time, Summer wasn't afraid anymore. She rested comfortably beside the window while Mango slept curled against her fluffy fur. Outside, frogs croaked peacefully near the rice fields. Fireflies floated through the cool, rainy air. The countryside glowed softly beneath the cloudy moonlight. Summer looked outside quietly. The rainy season no longer seemed scary. It had brought Puddle adventures, new friendships, bravery, and unforgettable memories. She had crossed bridges, explored muddy fields, saved a tiny kitten, and discovered courage hidden inside her tiny heart. As thunder rumbled softly far away, Summer simply closed her eyes peacefully. The rain had become part of her story. And somewhere beyond the dark clouds, another adventure was already waiting. And so, during one unforgettable rainy season in the Philippines, a tiny black Shih Tzu named Summer discovered that even the stormiest days can lead to the greatest adventures. Because courage does not depend on size. Sometimes, the bravest hearts belong to the smallest dogs of all. The end.